Hey guys, I'm Chantel,
And I'm Chris.
and this is Tube Addicts.
Forgotten Fridays.
Hey Tube Addicts, and welcome back to Forgotten Fridays. How's life, Chris?
Life is good going. Good. How's life with you, Shen?
Good, going good. What are you, a robot?
Sometimes you just gotta talk like Yoda sometimes, you know what I mean?
Well, just love throwing this out there. We did hit over 1K listens this past week, so shout out to Tube Addicts Podcast.
Woo woo woo.
Yes, I was super excited about that. I don't know if it was the craziness of the last case or what, but we definitely had a lot of listens for that episode, and that's what took us over.
Note to self, Shen, we need a lot more just rants, I guess. I guess people dig those.
I don't think it was the rants, probably the story, but yeah, sure, rants. Well,
They
today,
came for the story, stayed for the rants.
yeah, right, pretty much. Well, today we are going to cover a very mysterious missing persons case. This young lady has been missing since 2006, and so of course I want to tell her case and get the info out there again in hopes that maybe someone has info on her case. This is the case of Roxanne Elizabeth Paltauf. Roxanne was born January 3rd, 1988 in Austin, Texas. Today she would have been 33, but she was 18 at the time of her disappearance. She was the eldest of 4 siblings, and her mother, Elizabeth Harris, said she was an incredible big sister that helped care for her younger siblings. I could really relate to her because I am the eldest of my siblings and cared for them as well. Roxanne just seemed so beautiful and wholesome from how her family described her.
100%. It sounds like humble beginnings.
Yes. She had a bit of a rough time in her high school years. Roxanne attended Keeling Junior High School and McCallum High School, but she ended up dropping out in her junior year and enrolled in a Goodwill job training program. She was studying for her GED in the hopes of becoming a fashion designer. She'd been rebuilding herself, and at this point, she was really wanting to make her mother proud. And again, I can totally relate to this, having those
100%.
having those tough years and
Yeah, I don't even think that we should say like the tough years in high school. Do people really keep up with what you did in high school? That's like the worst time in your life, as like a human, because you're like
oh my
just
god,
trying to please everyone.
if you were to ask our mother, Chris, I will never live down high school. Like, I feel like you
Exactly.
guys were worse than me, and I still do not live down high school.
I was really bad in high school. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
you know? And yet, if you were to ask her how you can turn out bad, she will name me. Like,
Yeah,
because
I think it's because mom doesn't really even she didn't even pay attention to what I did then. You know what I mean? I'm just saying.
I know, but Sam was pretty bad too, and mom paid all attention to her, and yet,
That's true. That's true.
Sam was worse
It's,
than me.
that's
We will cut
strange.
this. We will cut this part. Let's not bring our problems into this.
It's
And
hilarious.
then in the summer of 2004, Roxanne had met a man named Lewis Walls. At the time, he lied about his age and told her he was 19. He was really 28. And to my understanding, they actually started dating when she was 16, and at that time was when he was 28. So I think it's even worse than her just being 19. So understandably, the family did not like him. They had been together for 2 years by the time Roxanne vanished, and she often took care of his 2 children. One of Roxanne's friends stated she saw Lewis hit her, seriously damaging her nose. He has a history of threatening other girlfriends, and at least 2 of them took out protective orders against him. He also has a criminal history dating back to 1995. And in March of 2008, Walls was also charged with making a terroristic threat against his then estranged girlfriend for violating a protective order she had against him. And we'll come back to that. So this guy is not the type of guy you want your sister bringing home.
One already off bat, he's a pedophile. He's a pedophile. Just like that's
Definitely.
already red flags. And do you know what really gets me about these situations is how often I hear that they lied about their age, as if they know that it's wrong for them to.
Hmm. Right.
That's what always interests me.
Definitely. I totally agree with that. If you had to lie, you knew it was wrong.
Exactly. I make sure to keep it 100%. My age is my age.
Hmm. Plus, honestly, it will never sit right with me that anyone almost 30 years old
Yeah,
would want to be with a child. Like, there's truly nothing else you're getting out of that other than your own perverted interest. I mean, it's a child.
exactly.
I
And
think how many times you've been around a teenager and you felt like, wow, I'm too old for this. You know? Not in a weird way, but like just like, I don't know, out at the movies and there's a bunch of teenagers sitting behind you and they're throwing things and you're like, wow, I can't believe I
you
was ever an
see,
idiot kid.
I've been around teenagers and I've been like, oh, that's like you're an interesting human. But I've never been around teenagers and been like, man, I would date one of y'all. No, no, y'all are going through weird points in y'all's lives. I like we're in two different wavelengths right now. So it's
Yeah.
for me, I can't imagine. I see. I've always dated older, so like I can't imagine someone like, and that's just because like maturity and things like that. So it's like someone that old, 28, and you still are able to relate with someone who's 16. That's
Yes. Exactly.
you haven't developed right.
Exactly. Or you just have a very perverted, disgusting interest.
Yeah,
You know what I
bro.
mean? Outside of that, because there are some people who are just totally immature, right? And they do hang out with younger people, but at the same time, I think it's like you said, you didn't develop right. You're slower than others, or you have a perverted interest. One of the fucking two. Either way, it's not right. It's not right. I don't care if you are
It's not.
less advanced and you relate to 18-year-olds. You're 28 years old, dude. Figure out a way to relate to people your age. Stop ruining these young kids by your adult ass doing shit around them that they shouldn't even be around.
100%, because that's shit that they'll probably end up regretting later on in life when you've trapped them with a kid. What?
Oh, honestly, there's probably a lot of girls that can relate that to the fact that when we were younger, we felt it was so cool that a younger guy, or excuse me, that an older guy was interested in us. And we thought in our heads, oh, we're just mature because that's what they say, right? You're mature for your age. When in all actuality, now that we're older, we realize, no, they were just fucking gross. Period.
Freaking weirdos, man. Freaking weirdos.
Literally. But even though Roxanne lived with her mother, she spent a lot of time staying with her boyfriend in motels because her mother did not approve of the relationship, understandably. On the afternoon of Friday, July 7th, Roxanne called her mother and asked to spend one more night with her boyfriend, Lewis. She promised her mother she would come home in the morning so they could go shopping. Her mother even recalls being upset with her for choosing to stay out with her boyfriend and telling her, fine, be that way. And this, of course, she's regretted to this day, sadly. But basically, what I took from all this is that Roxanne is 18 years old, but she's still a teenager. She's still living with her mom. She's still helping out with her siblings. She's got a really close relationship with her mom, and she was planning to be home that next day.
Planning, but it's like this is what I always hate about these situations with these like young people with like these older people, and it's because it's like these older people are in situations that these younger people shouldn't be in, but they can be
Mhm.
put in them because of this influence that has now been forced into their life because oh, I can go on all day with that, but yeah, that's just my main point that she she has a strong family situation, you know what I mean? Like people who actually care about her well-being. So it's like ah,
And also, just to any younger teens, ladies listening to this, just a little advice from a girl that's been there. Um, if a man truly loved you, He would not do anything that puts you in a bad situation. So if you have to stay at hotels, motels with him because your parents don't approve and he wants you to do it, he does not genuinely love you. He wants what he wants from you, and that is it. Because any man that truly loved you would never stoop you to having to go against your family. He would respect and understand that your family loves and cares about you, just like Chris just said. I just
a
wanted to
hundred
throw that
percent.
out there.
But on a general note, like you have the mom who's like, genuinely shown that she doesn't like agree or approve of this. And it's like for young people, I get that it feels like, oh, well, you already lived, so maybe, I gotta live too. What
Mhm.
the hell? Do you realize that this person's telling you this because maybe they made a similar decision? And it's like they
Hello.
have wisdom. You don't.
Yep.
Just listen. Oh my
But
gosh,
you
do you
wanna
not
know what the
understand?
problem is with that, Chris? The problem is that a person that's 18, even though they're considered an adult here in America, their brain still is not fully developed. So the
It's not.
area of reasoning and rationality that they're supposed to use to know what you're saying and understand that, they don't have.
You know what's sad? It's because they haven't gone through it yet. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, you could possibly not go through it, or yeah, you go through it. Now, yeah, you have that knowledge. Good on you that you wasted time figuring that out.
Literally, but we could rant about this all day, so let's move on.
Yeah.
On July 7, 2006, Roxanne and her boyfriend Lewis Walls checked into the Budget Inn Hotel at approximately 8:30 p.m., located in the vicinity of Interstate 35 in Renberg in Austin, Texas. Not exactly the best area, I'm sure you can agree, Chris.
Yes, 100% I can.
By noon the next day, her mother was still waiting on Roxanne to come home. It was now July 8th. Assuming Roxanne would just be home later, her mother and siblings continued on with their day and went shopping as previously planned. Later that evening, when they returned home, they received a call, but not from Roxanne. It was from Lewis. He was asking Elizabeth if she had heard from Roxanne, which obviously, oh, wow, which obviously,
Awfully.
I'm sorry, which obviously caused alarm for Elizabeth, Roxanne's mother, because the last she heard, Roxanne was with him. I can't imagine the instant fear that this mother likely felt at that moment.
I can't imagine it either. I really, I want to hear his explanation. Because you just don't lose a whole person. That's just a,
You do not. And so he told her he had not seen Roxanne since 8:30 p.m. the night before. He also told her they got into a fight over an ex-girlfriend and Roxanne left the hotel room and began walking down the highway and told him to leave her alone. So he did. She made a left onto middle lane before vanishing from his sight. It wasn't until 20 minutes later he went back out to look for her, but she was gone. She only left with the clothes on her back and her identification, but her purse, cell phone, clothes, and all other belongings were left at the hotel. So I feel like we've had this happen like at least twice now.
yeah.
Um, I just don't even know what to say about it at this point. Like, I don't understand why any dude that has a girlfriend lets a every time it's the same thing. So like, I don't know.
Like people aren't out here just being harmed on a daily basis. I don't understand like how you could be so ignorant to the times and things going on that you just would. I don't care if I gotta sit. Like I'm just not one of those people. I'm just not one of those people. I would literally sit there even if I'm being annoying because of the fact that, well, something bad could happen to you.
You know, like walk 20 steps behind me and just make sure I get where I'm going. It's genuinely your responsibility. And at this point, the fact that we were fighting and everything over your ex-girlfriend, like, now I also want to put a warning out, ladies. We know better than this. Let's not that you shouldn't get away from a bad situation, because most definitely, if you are in a bad situation,
Hmm.
get away. But we know we cannot just walk around. It's fucked up that we can't just walk around, but we know we cannot just
It
walk
is
around.
fucked up. But this also again is someone who, like we said, is not like this is a young spirit. This is a young spirit. Like fresh
Right.
out of high school relationships where everything's like, like, oh, you run off,
You
you
feel
play the
invincible.
dramatics. Yeah.
Hmm.
And this is not that. She doesn't realize that she's in a whole different ball game because she has been thrown into a ring with someone who's already had previous love experiences and things like that. This is a fuck situation where the cards are stacked against her, sadly.
Well, and what's sad too, it just makes me think of like I remember being a teen and a girl, and you feel like it makes me wonder if it was one of those situations where she expected him to follow her and he didn't. You know what I mean? Like you said, you're in the dramatics, so you're like, I'm gonna walk away and he better follow me, and he doesn't.
Ladies, I want it to be known. Guys are like that too. 100%. I do the same thing. I've done it. It's
You
a real
expect
thing.
face.
It's like you aren't you gonna follow? Like what the hell? You're not gonna fight back? You're not gonna fight me?
Oh my
We're not gonna
god.
argue? Yeah,
Literally.
but um this is just one of those situations where I'm seeing that this isn't someone who's been in situations like this before, and it's really sad. It's really sad, and it's really sad that this person doesn't give a care about her enough
Right.
to actually sit there and like, bro, I don't. Our sister will, if she comes over and she like sees me, like I will tell her at the end of it, just let me know, like send me a text when you get home, like let me know you're okay. And if she doesn't, and she does like Sam, and text me the day, like 2 days later, like I made it
Yeah.
home by the way. I'm worried the whole time.
Yeah. 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 Come on, gentlemen. Let's put the anger to the side and look out for the people you're dating. Just whether you're mad or not, you don't have to talk to them. You can let them walk up the street and do their walk off, but be down the block and looking with all eyes, or something. And on the other side, if you are the partner that likes to be chased, stop that. Seek therapy.
Yeah, just 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 quit the dramatics. You don't have to do all that extra stuff.
People aren't mind readers too. I will say that. Like when you're angry and the other person's angry, it's almost like impossible to think that they're gonna put their anger to the side and cater to what you're needing, even though that would be perfect, right? That's how we know our relationship is in a good
Yeah.
place and stuff. But the likelihood of that once the other person is angry too just isn't likely. So you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. And they're not seeing it like let me cater to them. Everybody's always looking out for self. It's
Yeah.
a way to protect yourself, right? Like when you're mad, you're not thinking like, let me chase them down. You're thinking they need to chase me down. So
It's we said it pretty well last episode. We were speaking about let me think. Where is my train of thought? Gosh, how did we phrase it? It was like hold up, Shan. Let me collect
come
this.
on, you got this. You only 25. You got this.
Oh, that's what it's along. It's okay, so how we were talking about how now it's like we're not at an age where like it's like, the older you get, you start getting less physical, you start being able to talk more, right?
Hmm.
She's not at that point. She's not at that
Right.
like talk stage. And sadly, the person who is at that talk stage, or you would
His
think,
ass. Hmm.
isn't. He wasn't.
No, he's a fucking menace. But yes, I'm right there with you. I totally agree because when you get older, you're right. You get tired and all that stuff. You don't have the time to be trying to walk a mile down the block to make a point. Like we're gonna
I
work this
barely
out, or we sleeping in different areas.
exactly like it's a hassle to just think I'm gonna take a walk around the block tonight. So
Yeah.
why am I gonna take a block for you? No.
But when you're younger, that reasoning that tells you, hey, this is a bad idea, this is only going to hurt me, just kind of goes out the window, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's why you're teenagers, that's why your parents are nagging you. It is not because they want to get on your nerves and ruin your life. It is because we've been there. We've walked the mile before, And I say that because I have an almost 12-year-old guys and she don't
Te-
listen.
Teenagers like they make it like life is a whole new experience. It's been going on.
Right. Like only they've ever went through it. Like it's only bad for them, right? But On July 8, 2006, her mother filed a missing persons report to the Austin Police Department upon being informed by the boyfriend that Roxanne was missing. It was 3 days later that the Austin Police Department's missing persons unit started investigating her disappearance. When police began investigating the case, Lewis had already checked out of the Budget Inn hotel. He took all of her belongings with him when he cleared out the room. After leaving the hotel, he went to his sister's apartment located at the Walnut Creek complex in Austin, Texas. Chris, we lived there.
We did. That's crazy.
How
Small
weird.
world.
Yes. But honestly, of course, weird as fuck he already checked out, but it's also hard for me to say that when the police don't go to investigate until 3 days later.
I think that it should be like a common practice since he was like the last person that she was, like supposedly with. I think that he should be held in custody. I know that's like a little bit wrong, but at least detained and questioned. Several of these cases, it's like these people, you're the last person she was with. All we do is give you a little light questioning, and then you're free to go. You're good.
Well, the problem with that is that you can't infringe on someone's rights. If you don't have anything to hold them on, you can't hold them.
Oh my gosh, but people will be arrested for little slight misdemeanors or like little things that could have been ticketed, but this is a whole missing person.
Oh, I know.
Wow.
Don't trust me. Trust me. You don't want to get me started about the difference. You don't want to get me started. Who was that? Khalif? Was it Browser? Is that how you said his name? Where he was picked up for allegedly stealing a backpack and sat like 2 years on Rikers Island, being tortured and whatever else happens out there.
I
And
heard
then
about that one.
finally was proven innocent, and it had fucked him up so much that he ended up taking his life. But yes,
I just read
definitely.
I was just listening to a story today where a cop determined whether or not they were going to arrest someone based upon a coin flip, Shan. So, this is,
Oh wow, that's fair. That's nice. How
yeah,
lovely.
100%, 50-50.
So the books at this motel were janky as fuck. It was literally the cheapest motel on the block. But according wow. But according to the books, Roxanne stayed in room 217. It was very clear that they wouldn't have been able to get any physical evidence from the room because it had already been cleaned at least 3 to 4 times, and someone else had even stayed in it already. Police spoke to people around the motel to see if anyone had seen her. Since the area is high crime, it was tough. No one in that area wants to speak to the police, especially because the area is known to be a drug area. Lewis would later return Roxanne's purse and clothes to her mother. Elizabeth said everything was in her purse except her ID. But Roxanne's mother and sister said the clothes he gave them were not Roxanne's clothes. They were actually kids' sizes.
The hell?
Just a weird, creepy thing. Just what? Apparently, when I was researching that, basically he told the mother after when she let him know, like, hey, these aren't her clothes, these look like they're kids' clothes. He said, oh, I just picked up whatever I saw on the ground and threw it in the bag.
Lewis said this?
Yes.
Lewis, you sounded guilty as hell, bro. I really don't like you, bro. I usually
really
don't like the boyfriends. I never like the boyfriends.
don't.
Let a woman walk by. Just let a person that you supposedly. I don't like you, bro. Like, you're just unethical and inhumane. Where's your morality?
Like, it's very clear. I feel like he has made it very clear he doesn't care. He just doesn't care. Like, you usually, even when you fight with somebody, like when you fight somebody, you feel bad, right? Like, oh my God, we fought before. Now she's missing. I want to give them everything I have so we can find her. Like, I can't even imagine. He's just like, seen a bunch of shit on the floor, threw in what I see, and hopefully this helps, whatever.
You see, Shan, I just was reading this case about I'm sure you probably heard of it. The dad who killed his daughter's boyfriend because he found out that
Oh, I just read
either
about
through
that.
either through the
Yes.
boyfriend or like means he found out that the boyfriend sold his daughter into human
Yes, for
trafficking.
$1,000. Fucking bastard.
So that being the case, that happens. That's something that happens. And honestly, like that was the one time where I was like, I could understand. I understand you taking matters into that and doing that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Jesus.
That's horrible.
The family actually searched the area as best they could. They also requested her phone records and turned them over to the police. Upon retaining her phone records, police discovered that Lewis had used her phone to make over 300 calls around town between July 8th and July 12th of 2006. Following her disappearance, calls were made to a series of motels in Austin, local single chat lines, a strip club, and some of his friends and previous girlfriends, one of which was from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Police reached out to this girlfriend, and the ex said Lewis did inform her he was in trouble and needed to get away and asked if he could come to where she lived in New Mexico. She declined due to their violent history. So after she goes missing, he cares so much about finding her that he uses her phone to make 300 calls, which, as you heard, were to local single chat lines, strip clubs, and ex-girlfriends.
Yeah. Um, this is that's really and then that whole I'm in trouble thing. Oh
Mm-hmm.
gosh, guilty,
Mm-hmm.
guilty. You know what? Never like Lewis's. Never like Lewis's. Now I'm really thinking about it. Never really cared for him.
Yeah, even Louis Shanks is overpriced. I'm
I
sorry.
don't think I've ever heard of Lewis Shanks, Shan.
I think it's like a furniture store. So of course at this point the police are looking at Lewis hard for this. As the days go on, he declined to come to the police station for interviews and became harder to contact altogether. On July 19, 2006, almost 2 weeks after Roxanne's disappearance, Lewis finally agreed to a face to face interview. During the interview, he refused to answer any direct questions related to her disappearance. He said he made the calls to the ex because he was mad at Roxanne. He also claimed he had nothing to do with Roxanne's disappearance. He said the female hotel employee could verify everything he said. They spoke with her and she claimed that she spent that evening with him from 10:30 to 3 a.m. and that she did not or excuse me that she did see Roxanne leave when he said she did. So, I feel like I have to keep like
Hold up.
summarize yes. Mhm.
Hold up. Wait. 10:33 a.m. She spent it with him?
So she's saying from
Fucking
10:30
hate this
p.m.
guy.
Yeah, from 10:30 p.m. to 3 a.m. he spent it with this woman.
I'm
So
gonna let you guys know something. Everyone in this world knows that anything happening after 10 o'clock is dark shit. Is dark shit. That's all it is. It is those are the demon hours.
well, not even just that, the fact that like so you get into a fight with your girlfriend, a big enough fight to where she up and leaves and like what, an hour later, not even an hour, you're already hooking up with someone else.
Like what the fuck? After quote unquote you only called your ex because you were mad at her. Dude, why are you with this girl? Let her live her life and be happy. Yeah, she's gonna be freaking sad at first because, oh yeah, she may have cared for you and you obviously didn't. But oh my gosh, I would much rather her. She'll feel good as fuck afterwards. This is horrible, Shan. I hate this guy. He better not be. let me stop. That's just trashy. Now it makes sense for why he didn't actually, check in with her. That's
Right, he did not care. Now, here's where the case takes a crazy turn. Roxanne's ID is found in the police lost and found. It got there because on July 13, 2006, 30-year-old Jeffrey Moore is arrested for attacking and attempting to rape an exotic dancer. Officers responded to a call at the Motel 6 near the Budget Inn that Roxanne was at. Jeffrey had previously picked up a woman who was with her husband outside of the Perfect 10 men's club. She agreed to a private dance, and the three went to the Motel 6, and it was located not far from the Budget Inn where Roxanne disappeared. However, when Jeffrey and the woman entered the room, he locked the door and left the husband outside. Hearing his wife shouting inside, the husband reached for the security guard, who managed to get the door open. Jeffrey fled the scene after the husband began attacking him, leaving behind his wallet and his hearing aid. He had fled the scene but left his wallet. Inside his wallet, the security guard discovered Roxanne's Texas ID card. They actually didn't run Roxanne's ID until 4 days later. Police tracked Moore down and had to use an interpreter because he was deaf. He told the police that he gave Roxanne and Lewis a ride to the store to get cigarettes, and that's how he could have ended up with her ID. And they did confirm this with Lewis Walls, that they went to the store the day before she went missing and that she could have lost it then. But neither of the two men's stories about the route they took to the store adds up. Jeffrey said the ride was from downtown to up north, and then Lewis said it was from Walgreens already on Runberg to the hotel on Runberg. So why the inconsistency? Jeffrey also indicated that Roxanne was a close friend of his and that he would like to retain her ID to give it back to Roxanne in person, but also said later he didn't know Roxanne at all. The family said they've never heard of Jeffrey Moore before. So were you able to take all that in?
This is why people, you gotta have a bit of class. Anybody who's taking you around, listen to these circles. Like this dude who attempted to rape someone was in the same circle as this dude who is over here pedophiling with this young. I hate people,
and I'm
man.
still uncertain on if, I think we're all uncertain on if they actually knew each other. Like, were they friends or was this just a we seen each other? I mean, I feel like they had to have been. It sounds like they had to have been, but at the same time, I couldn't find anything confirming that they were actually friends prior to this.
This man is taking you to busted ass motels. He there's so many red flags on this dude. He's a freaking Baltimore Ravens football game,
Lord.
I swear.
Oh, Lord. Police polygraph the woman from the motel and she passes the polygraph test. And from here, police have nothing else to go on. Authorities ultimately drop charges against Moore for lack of evidence, although it isn't clear how he came to possess her identification. By July 27, 2006, the case was still at a standstill. The police get a call saying human remains have been discovered in the southeast area of Austin. So police ask the family for her dental records and try to match them to the body that was found. The body was not that of Roxanne's. Elizabeth, Roxanne's mother, put up a billboard in March of 2007 near that same budget inn. Since then, over 200 have reported seeing Roxanne alive. Each lead has been worked and none have been credible leads. Almost 2 years later, in March of 2008, Lewis' current girlfriend came forward, making a police statement saying Lewis threatened to hurt her and claimed he had killed a woman before. This is when he is charged with making a terroristic threat. The police did interview him again, but he refused to have hurt Roxanne or to have said any of those things. 4 years after Roxanne's disappearance, police got a call from police in Albuquerque, New Mexico, with a body that matched Roxanne's description. The police jumped on this knowing the connection to Lewis and him calling an ex in the same area. However, the remains did not turn out to be Roxanne's.
He's a scum, Shan. He's the worst that we have encountered. I had forgot that he had violent tendencies, and I forgot that you mentioned that earlier on and how he hit her.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of, passed. You said it like I guess my brain retained it a little late there, but putting that together, I should have sussed him much earlier on. But
the whole thing is, to be honest, so for this case, this is pretty much it. There's no one. It is still an active, ongoing case. To me, if I was to speculate what happened, we have three options. We have the first, that she went on that street and unfortunately, like we said, someone off the street just attacked her, or she succumbed to human trafficking, whatnot, or the boyfriend did it, or this other guy did it. But I think, in my opinion, which is just an opinion, I think he did know this guy. I think he did hurt her, and I think he enlisted Jeffrey Moore to help him. And I think that's how Jeffrey ended up with his ID. It seems so coincident, or excuse me, her ID. It seems so coincidental that it would be the boyfriend that killed her, yet Jeffrey Moore would end up with her identification. And that'd be fine if he did just drop her off. But the fact that he's actually hurting other women makes me say, well, if he had the ID, he probably hurt Roxanne. But then it's so
Hmm.
hard to ignore all the things that Lewis Walls has done as well. They're just as
100%.
guilty to me as each other, like, the same amount of evidence against the both of them. Because having someone's ID that went missing really, really does not look good.
Yeah. Yeah. I've I forget what case that was, but there was a case similar with and I did suss that guy but
I
this
also have to question, why did she only take her ID? Because that was made clear from jump, right? Like, that's what he said. She only took the ID. The mom made very clear when she got the purse back, her card, credit card, everything was still in there. So why would she only take her ID? It's almost to me like Lewis knew she had left her ID in Jeffrey's car the night before. Maybe they had talked about it. Hey, I can't find my ID. I think I left it in that dude's car or whatever. And that's why he told them that, as a way to kind of get it off of himself, you know? Because if she's going to take her ID, what is that for? So that she can do what? What does an ID do? You can't buy anything without your
you can.
card. So I don't see
Um,
why that would have been the one thing she's like, let me take this, you know?
it's and honestly, like it just honestly just adds more to the archive we got going here because when you think about it, like a lot of these cases have that similar thumbprint in each one where it's like they didn't take everything. There was only like,
Right.
oh yeah, we found this. Like it's usually an identification card now I'm thinking about it, where they'll leave like cards and things like that. And a lot of them are like these women go missing right after big of the woman at the apartment complex who is never seen actually leaving that building, but
Mhm.
she had an argument with her boyfriend. Like
Yep.
all of these stem from these like similar
Because they
patterns.
didn't fucking leave. Because they didn't fucking leave. Something happened
Hmm.
to them wherever they fucking were. I do believe it was Lewis. I do
I
believe
do too.
maybe she came back and noticed he was with this thought potamus, because Jesus Christ, lady, you just met the guy and he just had his girlfriend left and you seen his girlfriend left and you still in sub with him, sis. I don't shame, but come on. Like, I'm sorry, that just reading that, you're def-
But these are also cheap ass motels that no one should actually be kept at, especially someone with a family who gives a damn about them. You let that man be a sleazeball on his own. You go about your way, sis.
Yeah, it's sad to know. I'm with you on the fact that Roxanne's 18 years old. Her whole
Yeah.
life is ahead of her. She would have turned to, I mean, if given the chance, she would have turned 20 and not been messing with dudes like that anymore. You grow out of that. You realize that those dudes are losers if you get the chance to. Sometimes you come across men that don't give you the chance to grow past them. And that's what my fear is with Roxanne. Same with Susanna. Trevor, when he couldn't physically abuse her anymore, he wanted to abuse her mentally. He would still call and harass her, even from jail and stuff like that. Why? Because he couldn't let her go on and be happy without him. That wasn't an option, whether he wanted her or not?
It's really sad. It's really sad that, and again, it does play into that mentality that we were speaking about earlier, where when you're younger, you do feel like you are invincible. You probably haven't even seen like deaths in like the family or anything like that. So you don't honestly like it's like, you just feel untouchable. And it's really sad to think like this young woman who does have her life in front of her just didn't get a chance to fully live her life because someone who had already lived their life and fucked it up decided to fuck hers up too.
Yep. Foul play is suspected in Roxanne's disappearance, and both Lewis Walls and Jeffrey Moore remain persons of interest in her case. The circumstances of Roxanne's disappearance remain unclear, and her case is currently classified as a missing persons case. Her case also remains unsolved. If you have any information regarding the disappearance of Roxanne Paltauf, please contact the Austin Police Department at 512-974-5250 or call the Austin Crime Stoppers tip line at 512-472-8477. Just a little true crime news, as we all know. We did actually, I'm not sure if I don't think I mentioned this at the beginning of the episode, but the case we talked about last week regarding Javier Ambler, there was an update on that case. So I wanted to go ahead and share that with everyone who may not have heard it outside of Texas, because it's definitely not getting the attention. But give me 1 second. Let me pull it up here and I can let you know what it is. So the former Williamson County Sheriff that we had talked about, Robert Chody, and the Assistant County Attorney, Jason Nassar, they're both facing charges for their involvement in Javier's case, as we know. We talked about that last week. But now both face an additional charge of conspiracy to tamper with evidence relating to the video that captured Ambler's in custody death. Those charges are in addition to the evidence tampering charges already filed against them. So kudos to that. Let's get all the charges placed on them that they deserve, and let's make sure they are prosecuted for that to the fullest extent of the law. I just wanted to mention that because I know we were all involved in that case. And
yeah, that's awesome.
I know, I was really excited about that.
It's definitely awesome.
Other than that, next week we will continue our Forgotten Fridays with another case that we will cover. Chris, anything you want to mention before we get out of here?
I don't like Lewis. Fuck him.
Fuck Lewis. Fuck Lewis. And Jeffrey Moore. Fuck you too.
How are you? Oh my gosh. I just don't understand. I just don't understand. And then it's like, you know what really gets me about that, Shan? Do you know what really gets me about that? Let me just drop one last point in. How is he, because this has kind of been like playing in my mind, how is he deaf and they were able to communicate? I mean, okay, so the hearing aid was probably in place by the time that they were communicating, but it's like they need a translator when he was there, right? So it's like,
right.
I don't know.
Maybe they needed the translator because he didn't have his hearing aid since they collected it at the scene when he was.
He left it there. Yeah, that's what I was. It just clicked to me, but it's still like one of those things, and it's like, damn.
It's despicable. It's just despicable. But dang, there was something else I was just remembering that I was gonna say. What was it? I'm going to remember as soon as we log off. Oh, that's what it was. Okay. Guys, also make sure you catch us on our new YouTube channel, Two Addicts Podcast. We've got one episode up right now. We're going to go ahead and get all of our episodes uploaded over the next few weeks. So look out for that there. If you prefer to listen on YouTube, you now have that option. And I guess that's it for me. I don't really have anything else today. Just catch us on next week's episode of Forgotten Fridays.
Yes.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.